have two questions. The first is, do you believe national sovereignty to be the most important value? And the second one is, what do you think about the Kantian idea of global citizenship? And do you believe yourself to be a global citizen or rather a citizen of the UK?
Right. National sovereignty is not the only value. It is a serious political value in my view, because it is the thing which enables you to say we, not just I and him and she and so on, but we're doing this together. You've got to have some way of identifying the first person plural if you're to make coherent action in the face of threat. You can't do that by identifying yourself as a global citizen. That's just a way of copping out, of saying it's not my problem, it's the world's problem. And people don't give their lives for their global citizenship. They do for their national sovereignty, and that's a very important fact. What Kant meant in Perpetual Peace was not that people should relinquish national sovereignty entirely. His view was that there should be a league of nations, but that league would be of genuine nation states, which he defined as republics. They were, in other words, states which fully represented the people that were members of them. And I'm totally in favour of that, as long as it does not involve the relinquishing of sovereignty. So I think I'll be happy to go along with what Kant is really meaning, but I would beware of, in doing so, of getting rid of the only thing that enables us to fight anything in the first place. I'm all in favour of idealism, as long as you can confine it in a place, in a talking shop, among intellectuals. You know, the Nexus Institute is a perfect place for idealism, but when it escapes from that enclosed container into the outside world, you know, it can be incredibly dangerous, because most people are not capable of thinking in an idealistic way. Most people are self-interested, and rightly so probably, and without the capacity to entertain these great ideas. So I think of ideals as a kind of agreeable poison, like wine, and to be consumed among consenting adults in private.
You've mentioned so many reasons why the UK should actually leave the EU, and I'm almost convinced, but I'm sure that even you have some reasons to stay.
Yes.
So what are those? And please, no economic reasons.
Right. Oh, well, of course, my love of Europe and the ease of travelling around Europe is a wonderful thing. This is something that's happened in my lifetime, and that is a reason for me, of course, personally. And friendships that have been built up across Europe. In my parents' generation, there weren't those sort of friendships. I have a network of friends in France, Italy, Poland, Czech Republic, Slovakia, here in the Netherlands, Belgium up to a point. You know, this is something that my parents could never have envisaged, and I do find that a great inspiration. But on the other hand, I'm an intellectual who reads books and likes languages, and I'm not sure that the same is true of the mass of ordinary English people. Advantages for the UK of staying in the European Union. Gosh. I have racked my head about this, and so far I haven't found one. But you know, there are things that look like advantages, but as you say, if I'm not allowed to say the things that economists say, then I can't really give an answer.
From what you said, I understand that the only reason to stay is purely economical. Well, what I conclude from this is that all these ideals and principles can just simply be bought which is quite a sad conclusion to reach after 1 hour. Am I that wrong?
Yes, you are wrong, because I am talking about ideals and principles. In talking about, I was talking about national sovereignty, the rule of law and the nature of law as we in Britain know and love it, the nature of the country, the language and the culture that is installed there. These are not economic factors. These are what go to define my sense of the moral idea of my country. I don't want to lose that moral idea. It is to that idea that I appeal in times of need, and when I'm wondering whether I shouldn't emigrate anyway. Those are the things that matter, and I think all of us have that. I know this because although I'm an English patriot, I'm also a French nationalist. And a Czech nationalist. These are things which are deep in my soul because of my own experience. I love those countries too, and I have the same sense that they represent something more than just economic arrangements between people. So I don't think it's fair to accuse me of reducing everything to things that can be bought and sold. On the contrary, I think this whole debate is precisely about the things which can't be bought and sold.
You know better than anybody else Europe's history. And we know the history of what happened in Italy. And we know about those dark forces which are everywhere now in Europe. Look, I'm on your side with all the criticism we can have at the European Union. We will publish, Thomas already mentioned, a book in which we will claim, look, it's not a European Union, it's an economic union, it has nothing to do with the idea of Europe, etc., etc., etc. But is all of that argument enough to give up, the one fragile institute we are having now, which keeps the whole bloody thing a little bit together? We have seen the Balkan Wars, and we don't need that much to pull a lot of trouble off. And again, Brexit easily could be, that kind of force for.
Yeah, I just don't agree with that prediction. I think that we've now lived together in a state of peace for long enough to recognize that all these conflicts are amenable to a negotiated solution. And when it comes to the big questions confronting us now, the European Union's way of dealing with them actually pushing us in the direction that you are frightened of, the resuscitation of tribalism. But as I say, I don't have a clear monopoly over the future, and I think nobody in this room has. That really we've got to think about principles and what it is that gives people a sense of identity in the first place.
You've been talking about saving Europe. What should we young people from Europe do to save Europe?
Well, you should, first of all, gosh, what should you? You should marry and have children. Not necessarily in that order. I recognise that things
Not
have
that
changed. And you should hold on to the great culture of Europe, and if possible to the religion of Europe, and to the great tradition of Roman law, and say that these are things that we have and we believe and we want to pass them on. That's what I would say.